press conference now begins. We will first give the floor to Prime Minister Kuczynskis of Latvia to make some statements. Mr. Prime Minister.
Dear ladies and gentlemen, we now start the press conference following the 16+1 summit. As first, I would like to give the floor for the statement to the Prime Minister of the Republic of Latvia, Mr. Māris Kučinskis. Good evening. I would like to thank the Central and Eastern European government leaders and Chinese Prime Minister for the fruitful summit that we just concluded. Over the past 5 years, 16+1 cooperation had evolved and progressed. Our joint efforts have resulted in developing a clear framework for cooperation, as well as creating various institutions, mechanisms and instruments for smooth cooperation within 16+1 framework. It is important to make sure that the 16+1 efforts complement the EU-China cooperation strategy. The highlight of this year's summit is the innovation, connectivity, inclusive development and common development, and we have achieved some practical results in scope of the cooperation. We must seek further complementarity between our efforts as well as Juncker Plan, the 3 Cs initiative, One Road, One Belt, and we must also continue to synchronize also the cooperation within 16+1 with the cooperation between the EU and China. So we have adopted the Riga guidelines, which specify the further cooperation. We must also continue modernization and the integration of the European networks in the new Silk Road. And the proof of our commitment to develop the Silk Road together with China is the arrival of the first container train in Riga. Today, we must continue to work together to identify joint projects which we could implement on multilateral basis, on mutually beneficial basis, and we should expand this cooperation to ports and special economic zones and free ports. We have a wonderful opportunity to also expand our cooperation in the financial sector, which has been so far the sort of the weak link of the 16+1 cooperation. And today we also inaugurated the financial institution for 16+1. We also need to also finalize, the interbank consortium, which would open or make available funding for various cooperation projects. If you look at the statistics, you can also see that there's a lot to be done to boost the trade between our countries, and I am absolutely confident that we need to continue exchanging experiences and knowledge and should seek new solutions for boosting the trade with China. We should establish multilateral cooperation framework, as well as develop or promote e-commerce and other types of trading with China. We must also boost people-to-people contact, cultural exchanges, which we were doing so prudently this year. We should also promote the tourism science cooperation as well. One of the most annoying barriers is the lack of the information that does not allow us to develop closer ties, and the most efficient to overcome this information gap is promotion of tourism and culture exchange. Connectivity and innovation indeed is the way forward in our cooperation. Development and progress depends on connectivity and innovation, and we'll spare no effort or resources to achieve greater connectivity and cooperation in the innovation field. Thank you all for participating in this summit, and would like to wish the Bulgaria successful organizing of the next summit. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Kuczynskis. Now I would like to turn the floor to the Prime Minister of China, Li Keqiang.
首先感谢
Well, first of all, I want to thank Prime Minister Kuczynski for his briefing about our fifth summit. I congratulate Latvia for hosting a successful fifth 16+1 summit. For this 16+1 summit, it was held against the background of sluggish world economic recovery and the slower growth of global trade and the new complexities in international and regional hotspot issues. Through this 16+1 summit, we want to convey a clear signal to the region and the world of upholding international peace and regional stability and of supporting trade liberalization and investment facilitation and of our continued commitment to global trade. The 16+1 cooperation brings together the world's biggest developing country and emerging economies in Central and Eastern Europe. Such cooperation helps to uphold the existing international trading regime. It is also conducive to improving the mechanisms for global trade cooperation. Such cooperation will also contribute to balanced and inclusive development of the global economy. Cooperation between China and CEE countries will not only contribute to peace and stability in the Central and Eastern Europe, but also to development in this region. China also relies on a peaceful international environment for its own development. China has always been firmly supporting the integration of Europe. We are happy to see a prosperous and stable Europe, which is in the interests of China. That is why it is China's consistent position that 16+1 cooperation must respect the laws and regulations of all countries concerned. And within the 16+1 framework, the cooperation with CEE countries who are also EU members will also respect the laws of the European Union. Both China and CEE countries are in process of industrialization. We have much to offer to each other. China is ready to expand the imports of high-quality products, especially high-quality agro-produce from CEE countries. We will provide facilitating conditions for this, and we will also encourage more Chinese tourists to travel in CEE countries. Each year, Chinese tourists make over 110 million outbound visits. We hope 1/10 of these visits will be made in European, Central and Eastern European countries in the future, as we believe such tourism exchanges will bring our peoples closer to each other. With several decades of development, Chinese equipment and industrial capacity are very competitive and they have good value for money. The CEE countries generally hope to speed up industrialization, while China, through decades of pursuit of industrialization, is now among the best in terms of our equipment and industrial capacity. If the CEE countries want to speed up infrastructure development, then CEE countries' cooperation with China will help to accelerate infrastructure development in these countries and speed up the connectivity of infrastructure. And China's high quality equipment that have good value for money will also mean lower cost of cooperation and will also trigger more jobs in local communities. I want to say that the industrial capacity cooperation between China and CEE countries has rich technological content and follows the environmental protection rules and laws. We have just now unveiled the 16+1 financial holding company. China's RMB has been included in the SDR basket and subjected to IMF's monitoring. China is ready to work with other countries to raise funds in international markets, and we are even more able to provide RMB to facilitate financing, and that also brings down the costs of cooperation, especially the costs caused by foreign exchange. And that helps us to remove barriers to cooperation. During this summit, we have adopted the Riga guidelines. The 2017 will be the year of media cooperation, and in 2017, China will invite 1,000 young people from CE countries to China for symposium and training purposes. Right now, we have also met with sinologists, and I was given a Latvian Chinese dictionary, which is compiled by Latvian sinologists. I hope to see more cooperation on language between China and other CEE countries as well. We will welcome more dictionaries of this kind, and we welcome the next summit to be held in Hungary. I congratulate Prime Minister Orbin, and China is ready to work with CEE countries to support a successful summit next year. And we are also ready to keep in touch with our next host of 16+1 summit so that our cooperation will make further progress and to benefit of people in the region and across the board. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lee. And now I would like to give the floor to the next host of the 16+1 summit, the Prime Minister of Hungary, Mr. Viktor Orbin.
So I'm truly delighted that that we can be the host of the next summit. Our Latvian friends made it on a very high level. Prime Minister Li Keqiang said that China and Latvia are nearly just neighbors because there's only one country between them, so we cannot compete with this vicinity. But what we can compete with is that Hungarian language is so difficult for everyone else, like the Latvian language is for everyone else. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are fully convinced that the cooperation of China and the 16 countries is in the interest of the European Union. We all are aware that the European Union is struggling with the economic stagnation, so closing everything in would be the worst solution. I think we have to open. This would be the best solution. We have to open to the biggest economy of the world. Hungary is committed to the cooperation with China in the field of economics, and that's why we're going to be doing our utmost to make a very, very successful summit in 2017. And thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you. This concludes our press conference. Thank you all.